So this is already worth $1. What are you talking about?
Come on now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was kidding. Wait. Heel. Hallelujah. Just like that. Cover the tape up. No one will notice. Cover the tape up. All right. You guys got $1? Oh, I got that back here. grab that change over there. That change over there. Put it in your hand like this. Down like this. If I take one of the coins like this, actually, you know, do this. Squeeze it tight.
Yeah, I know.
Wait. You recognize these glasses?
That's a pretty solid trick you're doing.
Yeah, now you're catching on. Oh, have you seen this one? Look at this. If you squeeze like this, you can get one of those. Ah, you should be more impressed.
That's my opinion.
Yes, you're bad. There you go. I thought so. That's my point over there. Check your wallet now.
Okay, no.
Check your wallet. But now we know where it's at. Oh, look at this right here. Can you see this? If I go like that, you can get another one.
Oh, you need to stop.
Oh, is that it? I need to stop. What else you got? And I'm like looking for stuff.
Oh, he's got some money in one of the
Check your other. What else you got? Okay, let's do a coin trick.
Okay.
You got any money? I can't provide everything over here.
She took it out. I'm sorry.
There's money on the bar.
Okay, watch it. Have you seen the one where you go like this? I know. She goes, money, I'm a woman, don't do that. No, look, if I heel back like that, is that okay? Cover the tape up, no one will notice. Check something else over there. Okay. What's the matter? What are you looking for? One of these? How many times am I going to do this for you over here? I'm like looking for all. What else you got? Let's do a coin trick. What else you got? I got it. Oh, wait, let me get it. I was saying, it's around here somewhere. What do you got over here? What do you have? The coin?
Yeah, I have your coin.
Oh, stop it now. Here, hold this.
Baby.
Stand over here. You're in the spotlight now.
Uh-oh. Now
Right
I'm
over
going to get embarrassed.
No. Right over here so they can all see. I'll take that one back.
Yeah, that's your
I'll take that one back. Tell me if you see this. Be honest with me. Did you see it go? Did you see it go? It's completely gone. It's right over here behind my knee. I'll do it again. Watch. The reason you don't see it. Are you watching closer? The reason you don't see it, because you need special glasses. Like these.
Those are my glasses.
Those are what?
Those are my glasses.
These are your glasses? These are mine. What do you mean your glasses?
I didn't see Richard yet.
I swear to God.
I didn't see him.
I swear to God, I barely touched her.
You did?
Barely touched her.
Should have hit him now or later.
Souvenir just for you.
Thank you.
I couldn't see a thing either. Let's try this.
Where are you doing, Dad?
What's that?
These are my glasses.
What? How many times do I got to do this? I put them back and trying to be a sweet guy and everything here. Should we do one more here for them? You got any money? I can't do everything here. What's this in my back pocket?
Now work for work.
That's your card.
Hey! Tony Clark? What? Are you Tony? What's going on over here? Put those in your back pocket where they belong. Put them back there. I swear to God, I barely touched your pocket.
Now you can feel my butt geek right now.
Yeah. I don't want to know you that well. I don't want to know you. Let me see the directions to your party now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You want to go?
She goes,
It's tomorrow night.
tomorrow night?
Yeah.
We'll be there. Okay. What else you got?
Ask for Doreen. Honey, I'm all out of
Oh, wait. Look at this. Look at this. Look what I got. Look over here. I got directions to a party, too.
Oh, you bastard.
I thought those were yours. Check your pocket.
Hello out there on Facebook and YouTube. I'm Eric Tate alongside Nick Locapo, and welcome to the Cool Box. Nick, how you doing this week?
Just recovering from Friday night, man. It was a long night. It was a lot of fun. I hope a lot of us other people in the chat joined us for the awards show. But I'm doing okay. Can't believe we're live streaming already.
Oh man, I can't believe it is the Cool Box again. This is Friday night was so much fun, but it also seems like we worked so hard to get there, and then the show went great. We had so many people. I see a lot of people on the Facebook and the YouTube chats who were there with us Friday night to cheer on all of the people who won awards. It was so much fun during the award show to have the award winners in the chat and really going nuts. It was a heck of a fun time.
I was surprised we pulled it off, to be honest. What we chose to do was pretty ambitious. From the technical side of things. And it came up pretty good. I think we were talking earlier, if you guys are out there and watching, we'll probably do a little re-edit of it or something to fix some of the audio and things. But yeah, I think it came out pretty good.
Yeah. People seem to have a fun time. We had some award winners. We gave away a whole bunch of different decks of cards. That was a lot of fun. Just sort of checking in on the chat here. We got 90 Day Fiance joining us. And YouTube, the chat seems to have derailed into a Star Wars conversation about Last Jedi or Skywalker. We got Adam Gale coming in on Facebook from New York. John Green saying, yo, Nick and Eric. Mark Schaefer on Facebook saying hello. Patrick DeHart saying hello, Penguin, and all watching right now. It's a good time. We got a nice little party going on tonight.
No, that's good, and I hope everybody enjoyed the Gregory Wilson clip. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but man, one of my favorite projects maybe ever in Magic. If you're just joining us for the first time on the Cool Box, welcome. First of all, in this show, we basically put together about 20 tricks that you can save money on, and a lot of money. So if you're ever on penguinmagic.com, you're familiar with the bestsellers list that's on the right side. Well, just underneath that, there is a section called the Cool Box. And every day we have a product that is in the Cool Box at a discounted rate. And it's usually a pretty heavy rate, like anywhere from 20% to 50%. I think I've even seen 75% off stuff that's in the Cool Box on the website. So in this show, we just put everything that we talk about in the Cool Box. So using our promo code CoolBoxLive, anything that we talk about on the show tonight, you can save a minimum of 25% off the retail price.
Yep. All you got to do is enter the promo code CoolBoxLive at checkout, and you're going to get 25%. Speaking of things, let's get into it. Let's start the show off the way we always do with the massive magical savings. This week, kicking it off is our good buddy Jason Dean right here in he's in the Cool Box right now, as a matter of fact.
Right. Yeah, we like to start the show with the biggest deal. And right now, if you go to Penguin Magic, the Jason Dean live lecture is currently in the Cool Box. It'll only be there till midnight, and you're already going to save 50% off of it. So if you add on our code, you're going to save an additional 25% off. Mm-hmm. So forget what I'm saying. If you buy Jason Dean right now, it's $11.
Yeah.
Although it's normally $30, right?
And it's a heck of a lecture too. We'll talk a little bit more about it later, but there's magic, there's jokes, there's drumming. It's insane. That's
one of those that I've done, I think, just about every trick off that lecture.
Yeah. Jason Dean is so good. Actually, we got a really good question in the Facebook chat here. John Green asking, is Jason Dean Jimmy Grippo's student? Do you happen to know that off the top of your head?
That kind of
sounds familiar.
Sounds right. Yeah, I feel like he was more of a Dean Dill guy.
I feel like you're right, but
Jason's from Kansas City. I don't know if he always lived there.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Where's Grippo from? I don't know.
I don't remember either. If you're in the chat right now and you know if Jason Dean was Jimmy Grippo's student or where Jimmy Grippo was from, let us know. We'll be sure. Especially if you're tuning in on Facebook, we'll cross-populate it over to YouTube.
You can always tag Jason on Facebook. I know he's active every now and then.
Yeah, so, he is.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Honestly, this is probably in my. We'll talk about it later, but the Jason Dean live lecture is probably in my top 10 if I really had to think about it.
I'm actually going to check something because I don't see Mark DiTullio popping in yet to talk to us about this. But okay, good. So there still are some Jason Dean lives left because we've had some people who have gotten hip to this, that it's usually the lecture in there. Oh, there's Mark. Mark's chiming in. 60% have been claimed so far. So if you want to get Jason Dean for $11, you better hop on it today before midnight.
It's mostly all card tricks. Great card tricks. And he's got some coin stuff in there as well. That's really what he's kind of known for. And if you don't know, well, again, we'll talk about him later, but he's a really fascinating guy because he's a heavy metal rock drummer and does magic for fun. So he's got a lot of great stories on the road when he's traveling, performing for celebrities and things, right? So, but the thing is his card magic is amazing. So.
Excellent. Oh, and Patrick DeHart's saying he learned some of the slides from Lucky Coin from him. Oh, yeah, Jason Dean does have an excellent presentation of Lucky Coin. Let's move on, though, to the next thing we're talking about tonight, which is the End of the World project by Bizao Christian.
Sure. So there's free stuff on penguinmagic.com. It's hard to find sometimes, but we always like to, at the beginning of the Cool Box, make you aware of some things that are free that are on the website. And I was not aware of this one until recently. Apparently, a big group of creators got together during one of those times when the world was ending. I don't know, I think like some Mayan calendar stuff or who knows, right? So that's the idea behind it, is that they put together a free ebook so that where a lot of people contributed to it in case the world was going to end. All right. I don't know how serious they were, but that was the intent. But there are some amazing people that contributed to this. There's magic and flourishes from Christopher Wheel, Andre Jenk, Bizao Christian, Dan and Dave Buck, Dennis Jin, Jeff Prace, John Stessel, Kevin Ho, Shin Lim. I think I've heard of that guy. And more. There's a lot more on there as well. So there's a ton of material, and it's absolutely free.
It's a crazy project. It's well worth picking up. I mean, especially when you consider that it's a free ebook. Why wouldn't you pick up some Shin Lim material, some Andre Jik material, some Kevin Ho material for free? Nick, I gotta interrupt you. We got a celebrity in the chat here. Craig Petty's Magic TV is joining us on YouTube.
Oh, we're big fans of Craig Petty TV over here. I love Craig. Congratulations
we love Craig.
On your channel. I watch Craig's channel all the time.
It's super fantastic stuff. By the way, if you're on YouTube right now, go ahead and give Craig a follow in the chat. He's well worth following. He's got some good ideas in the stuff that's out there.
It's like you gotta applaud. I mean, he is just cranking out content, and that's not easy to do.
We can barely do one of these a week. I don't know how he does 2 or 3 a day.
Yeah.
And he says he's a big fan of us. Thanks very much, Craig. We really appreciate that.
So on Penguin, if you're going to pick up something for free, you don't even have to enter your credit card. It's not one of those things. You just literally put it in your cart, go to the checkout, and it will end up in your library. So I haven't really dug through it, but I mean, with the names on here, I can't imagine that there's not something in there that you might find interesting. So go check it out. The End of the World project.
It's free. Let's move on to I know one of my favorite parts of this every week, which is the big old download discount section. I really like this because the Penguin downloads are so great, because as soon as you get them, almost always you can start learning it and playing with it immediately. And that's no exception tonight, because we've got some really fun stuff. The first thing actually we're talking about is Delirium by Oz Pearlman. This is a bit of a vintage Penguin download. We've talked about this before, and I'm glad it's showing back up in the Cool Box, especially because it's like $3 when you enter the promo code CoolBox Live. Essentially what this is first you produce a 4 of a kind, then you go ahead and you have a card selected out of the deck, you place that card on the mat, and then one of the cards from the 4 of a kind magically transposes with the card that is on the table. It's really cool. There are some extra bits and bobs that you need to have, but it's nothing that anyone in this chat doesn't have at home. You can definitely do this right out of the park, and the sites are pretty easy. The production for the 4 of a kind is a lot of fun. If you don't know it, it's the Flip It production, but Oz does a really good job teaching it. Then there's some other moves in there that if you are not familiar with them, Oz does a really good job teaching them. So you're going to get a great trick, but you're also going to get some great utility moves. It's a lot of fun.
I love tricks like this. I mean, these are the ones, Eric, have you had this problem during this, this whole 2020 where, these tricks make up the majority of my, hand me a deck of cards and I can do all sorts of stuff, right? But, I haven't done any of these things in so long.
Yeah.
These are the tricks that I love, though, right? I would stack these tricks in my head so that I could do them whenever I was out and about. I think it's time for me to get some new ones. So I might have to start looking at this one.
I think
Yeah.
Like Delirium was one of the ones that I used to do all the time, and I'm glad we're doing this show because I'm like, oh yeah, Delirium was a lot of fun to do. And if depending on how you set things up, you didn't even need to add a whole bunch of other stuff to your deck. I mean, if you're a clever kitten, you can figure out how to do it from Oz's instructions to do it without any extra bits. But it's
so what is it? It's $3 right now.
Yeah, it's $3.71. It's normally $5. If you enter the promo code CoolBoxLive at checkout, you get 25% off. So it's $3.71. This is a good one, I think. And one of the nice things about this too is that if you're on the fence about this, if you're like, I don't know, go watch it, because this is sort of the demo, because this is vintage Penguin, where there wasn't street performances. There wasn't us like making like these really fun demos that are a lot of fun to watch. It was like Oz performing to a camera, and I think we only had one camera at the time, so you get to see the whole performance in the demo.
Yeah, so if you like what you see, I mean, you're going to learn all the sleights and everything. I mean, don't let it, because it's old, distract you. The content is still quality. Yeah. So check it out. I mean, if you're trying to stack up on good card tricks, this is a good one.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, sure. I mean, speaking of good card tricks.
Yeah. This is Cannibal Kings.
The Cannibal Kings. And, it's by Lynn Searles, who I'm not sure... do we know of anything else by Lynn Searles?
I am having trouble coming up with it off the top of my head. That doesn't mean...
I've always wondered that. Yeah. But it's presented by Michael Lamar. I first saw this on the Easy Master Card Miracle series. That's where I first got introduced to Cannibal cards. Here's what the effect is, and it's totally like different from any other card trick that you already do. You kind of tell a story about how, at least what Michael's presentation is that, do you ever see cards that go missing in your deck? Sometimes you pick up your deck and you can't find a certain card. It's because the deck of cards has cannibals in it. And he goes on to tell a story about the 4 kings are the cannibals in the deck of cards. And then you give a demonstration on how the 4 kings eat other playing cards in the deck. And when they eat them, I mean, you take another card, you put it in the kings, and then that card disappears. You take another card, you put it in between all the kings, and that card disappears. You do it a bunch of times. And at the end, you cut the kings open, and inside the kings are, you cut them open, and inside the kings are the selected cards. It is a fantastic trick. Kind of sounds silly now that I'm saying it out loud. But, Eric, and this is just like a funny story, like from way back in the day. I had a friend, and this is before I knew any magic. This is probably when I'm like 10 years old, 12 years old. I had a buddy who saw this trick, like met a magician and saw this trick. And when he came over my house and he was telling me about how he saw this magician, he described this trick to me. Right. And I remember going, man, that sounds insane. Yeah. What? Like, you put the cards in between these kings and it disappeared, and for whatever reason, the reason why I'm saying this is because that story resonated with me so much so that I remembered it my entire life. I can't remember anything when I was 10 years old, but I can remember my buddy Brian telling me about this random trick.
Yeah.
So when I'm like, fast forward to, I'm like 18 and I'm in my room watching Easy to Master Card Miracles, and Amar comes on and he teaches me this trick, my mind was blown, because I was like, holy crap, this is the trick that Brian was talking about, right? So that's the strength level, the storytelling level of this particular routine.
We gotta find Brian and get you to perform this trick for Brian sometime.
I did. I went to his wedding a couple of years ago and I showed it to him. He had no recollection. He didn't remember the trick at all. But anyway, I did. Isn't that weird? Yeah. Anyway,
it's a great trick. I mean, it's one of my first DVDs in Magic was the Simon Lovell Methods Behind the Madness, and one of the standout tricks from that DVD is Cannibal Kings. Now, obviously, this version is not Simon's; it's Lynn Searles, and Amar is putting his own touches to it. Which if you want to learn Cannibal Kings from anyone, Amar's the guy to learn it from.
Yeah, and this is the first time I ever learned the Ascanio spread, which I fell in love with. Like, this is the first time I ever saw the Ascanio spread, and I kind of like ended up using that for all sorts of stuff. So if you don't know what that is, it's a great move that you need to learn, and you're going to learn. I mean, it's an easy and fun. It feels like it seems like you're doing something really difficult, and it's easy, which is why you're going to love it if you don't know it. And you get to learn this fantastic trick, which is just one of the best card. It's not a pick a card trick, right?
Yeah.
So it's totally different, and you're gonna have a lot of fun with the Cannibal Kings. And how much is it? Is it $7?
It's like no, it's not even $7. It's $6. It's if you enter the promo code Coolbox Live at checkout, it's $6. Just over here in the chat, a lot of people just saying a lot of great things about Cannibal Kings. Craig Petty saying he's been in his act for over a decade. Mark DiTullio saying it's a classic. Mighty saying really great stuff. Also, just want to give a quick shout out before we move on to the next thing. Jamar Coy Lucio says that he's been with Penguin Magic since it first came out years ago. He's super impressed what it's become today. Great work on the stream, guys. Thanks for all the great information. Thanks for watching. It's messages like that make us keep wanting to do this stuff. So we really, really appreciate that. Thanks for watching. Let's move on to the next thing we're talking about tonight, Nick. This is King of Warped by Martin Cox. Oh yeah. Speaking of like things that are not pick a card tricks, Card Warp. I think for you, Cannibal Kings like is an early memory. For me, Card Warp is an early memory because I will never forget when I was working a magic counter in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I was working this like magic shop with this ventriloquist named Stephen Knowles, and I had learned all of the stuff that I had to pitch, but I was also super into magic. And one time he busts out Card Warp on me, and it wrecked me. I could not understand, and didn't share the secret with me for a long time. And I just like could not conceive of how it worked.
That's impossible.
And I got obsessed with Card Warp. I was doing all of them. I did Warp 1 by David Wren Jenkins. I did all of those. King of Warped by Martin Cox might be. I just encountered it for the first time when we were putting this show together, and this is honestly one of the best Card Warps I've ever seen. As a matter of fact, Roy Walton, the creator of Card Warp, said that this is the best version of it. And the reason I say that is what happens here is you have two cards freely selected. They get folded up. They can both be signed by your spectators. And then you first do Card Warp. And then you say, well, let's. And the presentation is a little bit about like big stage illusions. You've got the lady that goes into the box and you do things to it, and then this other card's going to represent the box. But where King of Warped takes like a hard left turn and just wrecks your brain is what Martin does is he tears. He folds one of the cover card in half and he tears it in the middle, and then he refolds it the other way. So that tear now becomes a slit in the center of the card. It's really interesting. And then he takes the signed card and he puts it through, and as it goes through, it visually turns inside out. And then he pulls it all the way through and he hands out both cards for examination. It sounds impossible. It sounds like a miracle, and it's amazing. You can see between us where he like lifts it, so it lifts the cover card so that you can see it. It is mind-melting. It's a really good handling. It's pretty easy to do. It's not slight free, but Martin covers everything really well. I was watching it this afternoon, and I was like, there's actually like torn cards around my table right now because I was like practicing that tear in the middle. I honestly think the tear in the middle is the hardest part because you like don't want to go too far, so that it looks really impossible. It's not that it like makes it more difficult if you tear it too far. It just looks better if it's like really just the same width as the card. It's super good. It's shot in England. It's really, really thorough, really interesting trick. You're gonna love it.
I'm assuming he teaches the regular Card Warp on there.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I was so focused on the main version of Card Warp that he's doing, or the main effect that he's doing. But it's really good. There's a gimmick involved, but the gimmick is something that you make yourself. Anyone can. If you're doing Card Warp, you have this gimmick. Yeah.
I mean, Card Warp is just. I mean, we already talked about it briefly, but like, it's interesting looking at the tricks we've already talked about, and all of these are just like, man, if you just went out and did these couple tricks,
they're wrecking balls.
They're absolute wrecking balls. I mean, I would always keep, and when I'm doing walk around close up, I always put like a nice little stack of Card Warp cards, if you know what I mean, in my pocket, so I'm ready to go and I'm not tearing cards out of my regular deck. Card Warp, if you don't do it, is just one of the all-time great card tricks. Yeah. And here's a great version of it that you can learn for cheap money, right? How much is this one? $7?
Yeah, it's normally it's $10. You know, the promo code Coolbox Live at checkout, you're gonna get 25% off. So it's a couple pennies more than $7. So it's right around $7. And this is a really good version of it too. So you should definitely check it out.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the next one. This is Lightspeed by Rick Lax.
This is a fun one. This is the trick that Rick says that he would show you if we asked him to do a card trick. And that you can do it with really any deck, doesn't matter. What this is a two-phase routine where, first of all, a card is named, doesn't matter what the card is, and it's removed from the deck. You dribble the deck on the table, and you take the card that they named, and you just place it in the deck. You're claiming that you know how to slow down time, right? And that you've just done something incredible. Of course, your audience is like, I don't know what did you just do? Then you spell the card from the top of the deck. So let's say you put the 7 of diamonds in the deck, you would spell 7 of diamonds, and the 7 diamonds would end up in that position, right? So it's as if you're able to place the 7 of diamonds into the exact spot so that when you spell to it, it's there. Then you do it again, and you kind of like further prove your skill, right? So this time you just do it with a different card. But what you do is you look for it where it is in the spread first. Then you pick up the deck, you dribble the deck, you reach in while the deck is dribbling, you pull out the card, and then you put it back in the deck into the spot where you can spell to it. So then you turn over the cards and spell to the selected card. It's kind of a hard one to describe, but it's got a really fun presentation with it. Rick's presentation has to do with the Matrix and how Neo can like slow down time, right? And he really buys into it. And I could see it being really fun to talk about. And you know what? The effect really does illustrate what you're trying to say. That being said, like you're going to learn, how do you explain it? It's like a crazy one to try to even talk about exactly what this is. You're going to learn like a magic trick and a skill, if that makes any sense to you. But it's good. It's like, it's really quite impressive.
I like this kind of trick because personally, you know me, I like presenting magic as a skill, even if it's not anything. And like the idea that you can take something out and move it somewhere else in the deck while you're dribbling it is really interesting.
I think as like a standalone routine, I might not like be doing this as like a single trick.
Yeah.
But I think there's a spot for this like crowbarred into a larger structure where you are demonstrating skill with a deck of cards, right?
Yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking of it, Jason Ledany has a book that's available on Penguin Magic called Game Changer, and one of the routines in that book is like a series of bets where you do things where you're like racing to put your hand on a card first.
Sure.
And this is a really fun one that would be able to like slip right into that kind of like, let's do bets. Like, can you take a card out and put it back in? Oh, okay, but can you put it in another? Yeah, like I'm feeling like.
I mean, like I should say also, it doesn't have to spell to the card. You can literally put the card anywhere you want.
Yeah.
So it could be like a number as well, you know. So maybe you had a way to force a number, you know, like I don't know, just any other way to force a number, and then you could put it at that number. It doesn't have to be spelled to. I guess that's probably worth mentioning.
Yeah, it's a nifty trick. I mean, like a trick similar to this, not this trick, but a similar trick with a similar idea, you know, was on Fool Us that Kosty Kimlet performed, where he was grabbing a card out of the decks. I mean, people like this kind of thing. Because you know what else is really popular, and I've got a couple versions of it, is where you have somebody pick a card that's lost in the deck, and then you sort of memorize the position, and you toss a card into the deck, and it appears, or you toss it in next to another card. Like these kind of skill tricks, like I think get overlooked by a lot of magicians because audiences just kind of like it when there's like a pseudo explanation, even though this is clearly a magic trick that you're going to get right every time. You don't have to actually be able to do it for real. Rick's not teaching you to be in the Matrix.
Yeah, he's not teaching you Coach's Fool Us routine.
No, but those routines are really popular with people for very good reason too.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Yep.
It's definitely cool. If you're interested in that, you're not going to be disappointed. Rick teaches you a great routine. You get a live performance on there. And if you've ever downloaded anything by Rick, you know, the explanations are great. So check it out. Lightspeed, $7.
Let's move on to the next one. This is by our good friend Alexander Marsh. This is See-Through Psychometry. I really like this because this is a blend of a lot of different methods into a really interesting routine. What if you don't know Alexander Marsh? He's on the Champions of Magic tour. He's their mentalist, and he's phenomenal. He's amazing. And what this routine is he borrows objects from the audience and he has them put into bags, and he is blindfolded, and then he uses his psychic powers to not only define what the object is that he's holding in the bag, but then also who it goes to. And there's a lot of interesting things going on in this routine that you could do close up. He does it close up. You can actually see in the video between us that you can do this in sort of a smaller environment. But this is also the kind of thing that can play enormous and you can fill a stage with. the method's really clever. You're not like actually developing psychic powers. You're going to be able to do this. It's pretty simple and pretty effective.
I love Alexander's stuff. The more, especially thanks to this show and like really forcing me to watch a lot more of him. Like he has offered up so much good material over the years, and I feel like it's largely kind of gone under the radar. Here we have a routine that's like a full act.
Yeah.
Right? For how much is this one? Is it $7?
Yeah, it's $7. Normally it's 10.
Yeah.
You enter the promo code Coolbox Live at checkout. You get this for $7. It's really good.
We're not talking about like a trick, like a little trick. We're talking about something you can go to your open mic with when that comes back.
Yeah.
And you could do this routine.
I could see people doing this in talent shows. I could see people doing this. I could see even doing this like in your house, like where people come over and you're like, let me get some bags and and a blindfold. Let me show you guys something really neat. Like this is definitely psychometry
there's gold in these Alexander Marsh downloads, I think.
Oh, I completely agree. And psychometry is one of those really fun areas where you don't see psychometry routines, and it's a way to sort of like do cold reading without doing cold reading because you've got the object there to tell you all kinds of things about them. It's really dope. It's a lot of fun.
And like, look, I don't know. I'm not a performer with blindfolds. I would like to be maybe one day. I don't do that type of stuff all the time, but I do know how critical it is for the audience to be convinced that you're blindfolded. And having seen Alexander work as much as I have, he's just a great person to learn that stuff from.
Oh yeah.
Because I was really impressed when he did his act, just his what do I want to say? Just the way he uses his body on stage. He's just very expressive, and like everything's up here. Because I think there was a part in his act where he was blindfolded. I might have that wrong, but I remember just like how convincing his blindfold work was. I don't think anybody in the room ever thought that you could see out of that blindfold.
And he covers his blindfold stuff on this download, and because that is critical to how this works. It's well worth it. I mean, and if you ever want to do anything blindfolded, like Alexander's the guy to learn it from. He's really
we always love to point out, like, anything you can do, easy stuff that anybody can get into for stand-up, because I know that's a big question. We all want to get up there. We all want to, like, try to do a routine that is safe and you're not going to screw it up and can still have some power level to it.
Yeah.
This is something to look at if you want to try to venture into the mentalism world. This is something that you should certainly look at.
Let's move on to the next thing, because I know you and I could talk about Alexander Marsh all day. And by the way, you should check out the Penguin Magic podcast, because Alexander Marsh's episode is a really interesting episode to listen to, especially if you're interested sort of in like tour life and like his work with the Champions of Magic, but also a lot of the mentalism and like how he is preparing stuff for that tour. It's really, really interesting episode of the podcast.
His Penguin Live act is so good. I studied. He's got a 20-minute act of mentalism with cards in his Penguin Live act that I studied pretty hard.
Yeah,
and it is. I mean, you can literally just get a deck of cards and have a 20-minute mentalism act. It's so easy.
I mean, it's direct from the Champions of Magic.
Yeah.
That is what he used to tour with.
Yeah.
Was that card act.
He has. I got to shout him out just one last time. He has contributed a lot to Magic and mentalism, and I'm not sure we've even realized how much he has over the past couple of years. So we should get him on the show.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, we should pile up some downloads with him.
To be honest, we should get Craig Petty on the show sometime.
Yo, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There's a lot of people that we need to get on this show. But,
yeah.
Let's
move on to the next one.
Preconceived by Gregory Wilson.
Yeah, this is a good trick, man.
Oh, yeah.
What it is it's part of Gregory Wilson's Coffeehouse Conjuring series, part 2, which is really cool because I'm not sure if the subscription is still active for that. I can't remember.
I'll take a look while you tell everyone about it.
Yeah. So, the little like heat sleeves that you put around your Starbucks cup, it uses 2 of those. So you take the sleeves off the cups and you have 2 identical Starbucks sleeves. You show both of them. You put one face down on the table, and then you take out a Sharpie and you can draw anything you want, but in this case, you draw an eye patch over the angel or the mermaid, right, on the Starbucks cup. You draw an eye patch over her eye, and you show it to the audience. You give it to the audience. They tap the other sleeve. They turn it over, And now there's an eye patch on the other sleeve. So now, like, whatever you drew here ends up there. That's interesting. So then you do it again. You show both of them, put one face down, and then you draw like a striped shirt and give her a sword and a hook. And then they tap it again and turn it over. And it's now been repeated. Everything that you drew on the number one ends up on number two again. So it's kind of like a voodoo premise a little bit.
It's like a sympathetic coffee coaster thing. Like, it's a wild idea.
Method's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a great trick. It's a really, really fun trick. And because it's not like, it's just different because you could like theoretically do this like with playing cards or whatever. But because you're drawing on the Starbucks thing, it's going to hit a lot harder.
Yeah.
It's a fun performance on there. There's one girl that is just totally baffled by it. Really, really just great trick. Easy to do. You'd be able to do it. It's no problem.
Yeah, sympathetic sleeves, Alan Morgan is saying in the YouTube chat. It's really good. So this is from Coffee House Conjuring 2, which is really interesting. And so I actually just checked on it on Penguin. Normally, the Coffee House Conjuring 2 is $90. It's $49.95 right now, and you don't even need a promo code for that. You can just go get and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there's 9 tricks on it. It's crazy. It's so good.
All that material is so good, man.
I love it.
Yeah,
we were talking about a different coffee house trick on here a few weeks back with where there was like breaking the sticks and they restore. It's so good. All of that stuff is really good. It's like you were talking earlier about like card tricks we file away, like Delirium. Like all of this coffee house stuff is stuff that I have in the back of my head where if I'm like, at a coffee house, like I've done so many of the coffee house conjuring things over the years where I'm just like getting a cup of coffee with someone and they're like, oh, you do magic, or someone like walks over to us and I can just like, I know that the props are at hand for me to do an absolute miracle that's going to wreck them.
Yeah, you'll get hooked if that's a genre of magic that you could see yourself performing. I've got news for you. Greg's got 24 tricks for you. So check those out. I mean, it's just a really great trick. Strong. Easy. You don't have to have anything but a Sharpie.
Preconceived is it's $7 right now if you enter the promo code CoolBoxLive at checkout. Nick, let's move on to the next one. This is another Rick Lax trick, Money Comes and Goes. I like this one a lot. This is something I could see setting up and putting in my wallet. This is very similar to a banknight style effect, but what it is you've got a handful of money, right? You got hundreds and ones, or you can do it with 5s and 10s or 1s and 20s, whatever you want, right? You've got like 2 different sets of denominations of bills. Your audience makes all of the choices. They decide which bills you get, they decide which bills they get, and the agreement is, if they get it right, then they get to keep the money. If they get it wrong, then you keep the money. And when you go to turn everything over, everyone that they have says lose, as in they lost the bet, and everyone that they gave you says win, as though you won the money, and so you get to keep everything. It's a banknight style effect, but there are no envelopes involved, so there's nothing like tricky, nothing like secretly going into envelopes or sliding in and out or anything like that. Really clever. And then Rick has got like a nice little letter that you can put into the that you can put into this to make it wonderful. I see some more people in the YouTube chat here. Sarah Lex saying more audience interaction. Talk to us in the comments. We tune in. Sarah, we are going to be doing some audience interaction in a little bit. For example, 90 Day Fiance Nick wants you to do the pinky thing, and also the chat is saying that you're an attractive man. So just something to let you know. So.
I'm doing something right.
Yeah, I'm personally offended that wasn't about me, but people want you to do the pinky thing at some point.
Well,
tonight.
I can't really do it because so I'd have to do my best Mayor Yedded,
Oh, yeah.
Right well, first of all, if you were doing Mayor's routine, which basically it's the incredible shrinking, the telescopic pinky where you can actually move it into your hand. Of course, now I'd have to come down to show it. My camera's too far up. Anyway, you would make it really small, and then you would take it off.
What?
And then you could put it back on. All right. So there you go.
All right.
I mean, let me see if I can move it down. Here.
They're gonna find out that we do this in our pajamas, Nick.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I do. Yeah, my dad got me these for Christmas. There you go.
Oh, very nice.
Anyway, here you go. Yeah, this will work.
That was sick.
Ta-da!
Ling Lee on Facebook wants to know if the hand is examinable.
I am completely examinable. Yes.
Yes. Oh, perfect. Oh, there we go. Let's talk a little bit more about Money Comes and Goes, though, because this is.
Yeah.
It's a super good trick.
I like how
they really do
Rick,
make all of the decisions, and Rick has really taken this sort of bank night style effect and made it something that you'll do.
Look, yes, it's not a card trick. I like that it can be self-contained.
Yeah.
And I love how it's kind of got this just like novel aspect to it where the things are written underneath, right? And it's kind of I don't know how would I explain it, because it's got that unexpected thing of the words on the other side of the bill, right? And this is the type of thing that I would suggest. I mean, of course you can use real bills, but if you bought this fake money.
Oh yeah, because you came across some really, really high quality movie money that's really nice.
Well, it's all over the place now. I see everybody using it, but you could make it up and just put it in an envelope, and then you would just have it laying around. Yeah, I mean, like I got some hundreds here, got a big fat stack, and that way you don't have to. Because look, it's like, is it a trick worth having that much cash in an envelope for laying around, Eric?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean it's
maybe, but I would definitely just keep this laying around and just having some fun with it, because ultimately you could just say it doesn't matter if it's real or fake money, because it's still fun and the trick is still great. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, because the other thing to think about is that Rick is presenting this trick with money, but you could take these principles and apply it to cards, coins, family heirlooms, whatever you wanted. I mean, like it doesn't have to be money. Money is not the secret here.
So if you're just like, well, I don't want to put together $500 to do this trick, you don't have to, right? You don't have to at all. It can just be dollar bills or $5 bills.
Nick, let's move on to the next thing we're talking about tonight, which is arguably one of my favorite tricks. I've seen him do this for years, and I know everyone in the chat is going to like this one. It's Starkle by Dan Harlan. It's amazing. This is one of his piece de resistance.
Yeah, it's probably the best trick you could do with a napkin, right? If you're not familiar with it, you have a napkin and you tear a circle out of that napkin. There's a script that goes along with this. Basically, you're tearing the moon out of the napkin. So you tear a circle out with one tear, which is slightly impressive. And then you crumple up the torn out piece and you hand it to your spectator. And then you crumple up the whole part and you make it disappear. So again, it's all part of the script. But then you say, but if you hand me the circle that I tore out earlier, and you open it up, the circle that you tore out of the napkin earlier is now in the shape of a star. And this is like, the way this works is unbelievable. I saw Dan do this for years. I always loved the trick, but I still have the ability to watch things without trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
I never really cared to know, because I was just like, it's fine. It just looks like he's like switching something and whatever, right?
Yeah.
No
it's switch.
So much better than that. When you tear the circle out of the napkin, you are literally tearing a star out of the napkin. And the way it works is math and just genius is all. There's no other way. It's just, all you have to do is tear the napkin, and you're tearing a circle, but it's going to come out as a star. How that works, I don't even begin to understand, but it does. And Dan will teach you exactly how to do it. The other thing that you're getting here is the script. People basically just do Dan's script here because it's it plays for every audience, from kids to adults. Yeah. And it kind of has a little bit of meaning to it, storytelling. I know a lot of people that do this both close up and on stage.
I met so many other people who do this trick, often as a closer for the show or like a kicker, like to as an end. And it's really, really good. I started learning it. Dan's teaching is really, really great on it. I mean, when I first met Dan like 15 years ago, and we were both in LA, Dan had taught this to one of the performers in the show that we were working at. and they were doing it every night, and it brings audiences to the edge of their seat, and they just love it. And I mean, it'll move a lot of them to tears too, because it's really good. Actually, Mark Tutulio just in the Facebook chat right now saying, that Starkle will move your audiences to tears. A lot of people in the chat over here. Mr. McMahon saying he loves Starkle. He's had it forever. 90 Day Fiance saying, I was in Columbus and met Dan Harlan filming the trick where the cards spiral into each other, and he did Starkle to 90 Day Fiance. It looks that clean. It really does look that clean. It's amazing. It's so good.
Yeah, if you don't know it, this is a great download to have, especially for this one. What is this one? It's about $14 or something?
It's 14, but if you enter the promo code CoolBoxLive at checkout, you're going to get it for $11. It's really, really worth it. This is an excellent trick that everybody should do.
You'll do this one forever.
Yeah.
This is one that you learn and you never forget, and you can do it anytime there's a napkin.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing, is that we should emphasize here that this looks like a switch. Like when you look at it, your magician brain goes to switch, and there's no switch in this. It's really that
That's
clever.
why I told you what it is, because like there's no way to reconstruct what's going on there. It's just a genius way of being able to tear a star out of a circle. I don't know how, but that's how it works. So get it, because it's amazing.
Let's move on to man. We really should have had him on the show this week, but this is X Cards by Lee Earl, presented by Alexander Marsh. This is really interesting. So Lee Earl created an effect called X Cards, and essentially what it is you have a stack of pay envelopes. You have an audience member put like their debit card or bank card into there. You put your debit card or bank card into an envelope as well. They are holding onto the envelope with their card in it. They can actually feel that their card is in the envelope, and then you are able to divine their name, the account number, the expiration date, all kinds of information on it. Alexander Marsh is the one who actually presents this. You'll notice that it is not Lee in the video between us. It is actually Alex. And he's got something extra. Oh, speaking of that, Alex just joined us in the YouTube chat. He says, hey, fellas, couldn't sleep, so turned in here to the UK. Thanks for the nice comments. Would love to be on the show sometime. We are 100% going to have you on the show, Alex. But he's got a really clever thing going on here where he's including people's driver's licenses or photo IDs, because there's a lot more information you can discern from them. And Alexander teaches you ways to like use that information in the context of the routine. The method is super clever. All you need is pay envelopes. The pay envelopes are not gimmicked in any way. They're not like slid open or like glued or stuck together or anything like that. It's really clever. There's only one other thing that you'll need, and you definitely have something that will work for this, or you can easily steal it. Not that I recommend stealing it, but Alex tells you exactly where to get it. It's a really solid mentalism effect. Lee Earl's original creation with Alex's touches and teachings make this super solid.
One of the most common questions we get, right?
Yep.
What are the best close-up mentalism tricks? This is in there. Again, we got to get Alex on the show, because I really want to put together and take a look at the body of all these downloads that he's put out, because I really do think there's so much value in all this stuff. Yeah, this is a strong routine, man. This is a really, really strong routine.
When you get the download, a lot of our downloads open with a live performance, like a live uncut performance where you're seeing everything. And the performance actually in the video between us, the woman in the green is honestly flabbergasted. Like, she has a minor panic attack at the stuff that he's revealing to her. It's really, really good.
Yeah, no, he's a great person to learn from. I really hope some people take advantage of the Alexander Marsh deals, because I do think you get hooked on him pretty quickly. His teaching is excellent, and just the material that he chooses to present is also excellent. So you can't go wrong. Yeah, he's moving up the charts in my brain of like mentalism to recommend to people, just because it's just modern, and you're going to learn from somebody that I think you can relate to.
Yep, and of course, you're going to save a little bit of money on it right now too. Normally $10, but if you enter the promo code CoolBoxLive at checkout, you're going to get it for $7. It's a great mentalism effect that anyone can do. I mean, this is another one that's like, it's just good to have in your back pocket. Nick, let's move on to our last download tonight. This is Clear Choice by Thinking Paradox.
This one's awesome.
Yeah.
This is a really cool secret, and that's what you're getting here. A secret. It's a hard thing to describe. Because you're going to be using a wine glass with lots of balled up pieces of paper. So just imagine you wrote down on 20 pieces of Post-it note, you drew a circle, right? and you crumpled each individual Post-it note up and you put it in the wine glass, right? But on one of those Post-it notes, you put an X and you threw that in the wine glass. And then you can shake the wine glass up as much as you want. You can even reach in there and shuffle them manually. You're able to reach in there and pull out the Post-it note with the X on it. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we should say here is that this is not a Switch.
No.
There's no gimmicks.
No.
This is a very, very interesting thing that's going on here. That, man, you could present this as mentalism, and this feels like an easy go-to for mentalism, but I can think of so many magic.
There's so many routines you could do with this. This isn't really, there's going to be some tricks on here that he presents. It is in a different language. It's all subtitled so that you can follow along. But you're just getting a way to, because here's the other thing about it. You can, in the same way that you might put 5 force cards in a deck so that your spectator you have an easier way of like classic forcing a bank on a spectator. The same principle can be applied here as well, where you could even have your spectator reach in the glass. I mean, you'd be taking a chance and pulling out one of these balls and having it be the force ball of paper. And the way this works is like a science, actually. It's a weird thing to say. The method is fascinating and surefire, which is pretty amazing.
This is a really interesting thing, and I do love the fact that everyone could examine every slip of paper in that wine glass after you're done, and they won't find a single duplicate. Actually, Mighty over here in the YouTube chat is making a really good point. There is not a single 2 or 3 star review on this product. There's 81 different reviews on here, and almost all of them are 4 or 5. Sorry, not a single 1 or 2 star review. There's only a couple of 3 star reviews, but overwhelmingly 91% 5 star reviews out of 81 reviews. It's crazy how much people like this.
Really cool. It's just one of those secrets that you're like, does that actually work? And then you run and you go fill up a wine glass with little pieces of paper and you try it and you're like, oh my God, it does. This is a fantastic download.
I
remember when this came out. I've actually performed this on stage, Eric.
I don't know what it's going to go into, but it's definitely going into one of my next stand-up shows. It's super good.
The only thing about it is that you're just using, you have to use a wine glass with pieces of paper, right? I mean, that's what you're dealing with here. So, I mean, which is fine, especially when you're doing like mentalism stuff on stage. This is more of a parlor thing. I mean, I guess you could do a close-up, but you're just going to be walking around with a wine glass filled with piece of paper, right? So it is nice because it is a colorful thing. You'll see in the video that he uses different colored pieces of paper, so it's kind of bright. When it comes to mentalism shows, sometimes your props are pretty limited, right? So it can be a little interesting to be able to change up the way that you're essentially forcing information without having to switch anything.
It's super good. It's really wonderful, and I can't recommend it enough. It's such a good
Paradox
idea.
Make great stuff. Anything that they've put out. This is partner program stuff, Eric.
That's right. We should talk a little bit about that because So the Penguin Partner Program, if you don't know, is a way for you to get your magic out there. So you can go to Penguin Magic. There's an area where you can click on, and it'll take you. There's a form you fill out, and you can submit tricks
underneath
to us.
the bestsellers, underneath the cool box. There's a little button that says, "You want to hatch an idea?" I think is what it says. I mean, it couldn't be more hard to find. But it's down there. I promise. It's got a little penguin on there. But and then you can find it up.
But if you can shoot your own trick and put it together, you can submit a trick to us for possibility of working with us. But also, if you have a camera and some video editing skills, you can make your own trick with tutorials and demos and put it up there. As a matter of fact, the person who just won Partner Product of the Year, Dr. Cyril Thomas, who is very often in the chat watching this stream, he put out 2 effects, maybe 3 effects last year by himself. All went gangbusters. All shot to the top of the charts almost immediately.
Well, some of the best
Toy
magic. Box. Yeah, Toy Box. I don't know if you've ever seen Toy Box. That's a great routine. Tequila Hustler was originally a partner program trick. So much good stuff in the partner program. I'm excited to talk more about it in the future, but the guys from Thinking Paradox put out good stuff all the time. And Clear Choice is a very cool method.
Mr. McMahon over in the YouTube chat says it's a clear choice. Let's
Save some money on it. It's good.
If you take a look at the schedule tonight, we've talked about the massive magical savings, and we talked we talked a little bit anyway about the Jason Dean lecture. We talked quite a bit about the sorry, the magic. Oops, sorry, I haven't changed this out yet. Let's hop back.
Oh, you
over
got
there.
the old one?
Yeah, I do have the old one. I'll fix that while we're talking about some other stuff. But let's move on to the next part of the show. This is the lecture, the low price lectures, which, man, I like the downloads, but I know you like the lectures because,
Well,
man,
the lectures are the best value in Magic. If you're going to spend your money and you want to get something, it couldn't be better spent in Penguin Live. Every week or every other week now, we release a new Penguin Live lecture where somebody comes to Columbus and they release their not life's work, it could be more specialized, but they put all their effort into a lecture for us, and that goes out to our subscribers, or you can just buy it outright as well.
and the one we're talking about first tonight is the Jason Dean lecture.
This one, like I said at the top, maybe I think I've probably done every trick in this lecture at one point or another. Maybe there's a couple. I'm looking at the listing right now. It's been a while since I've actually watched it. Jason's card magic is awesome.
So good.
He does things a little differently as well. There's some style here mixed in with classic plots, and everything is approachable and easy to do. Yes, he's technically skilled. He can pretty much do anything he wants with a deck of cards, but for the most part, everything in here is pretty easy.
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple of my favorites. The first one is Threesome, which is a great name. Jason kind of made a name for himself for some of his trick names back in the day. He's also the guy with I know you do this trick as well, Eric.
Yeah.
With the card to nipple ring.
Yeah, Jason and I are the guys with the real work on card to nipple ring, and
Right.
Yeah, we have very different methods, but
Right.
we are the two with that on there. Maybe one day Jason and I will do a project on that trick together.
So he doesn't teach that on here, but he does teach it on here. He just teaches. He just doesn't teach it with the nipple ring.
Yeah, he teaches the method that he uses, which is a really good method.
Right. So anyway, there's a trick. The one that I love that I did for a while is you have three people. Where's my deck of cards? I feel like I have to.
Do you want mine?
Yeah. Can I borrow yours?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got the winners over there. Basically, you're doing one of these things. Three people say stop on cards, right? So you get three cards selected, and they're clearly lost in the middle of the deck because of the way that you're showing them. And then you twist the deck a couple times. You twist it once, you twist it twice, you twist it three times, and you say, "Did you see it happen?" Of course, your audience is like, "I don't know." And then you point down at the table, and on top of the card box, there's a card. In the card box, there's a card, and then under the card box, there's a card.
Jason's
So
too good.
You put the deck down. You pick up all three cards, and then you show them to the audience. You say, "You see a card?" They're like, "Yep." Blew my mind the first time I saw that. I was like, how is that possible? And the thing is, it's super easy. Sounds like you're ditching stuff to the table, some of that like up down misdirection stuff. None of that. None of that at all. There's another trick in here, the double open prediction. I've done that for years. To me, it's probably my favorite open prediction routine that I've ever learned, and it's non-gimmicked. I love the Boris. Is it Boris Wild? Yeah, it is Boris Wild open prediction. What is the name of that? I did that one for years as well. But that one uses a simple gimmick. But when I don't have that gimmick, I love Jason Dean's open prediction in this lecture. He's got this there's this really cool thing. And he doesn't actually give it a name. But he has this way of Eric, you look like a 5 of clubs guy to me. Right. And then he'll go in the deck and pull out the 5 of clubs. And all of a sudden it feels like you've selected the 5 of clubs in the routine.
Yeah.
But you haven't. Now I know that it's going to sound obvious when I'm talking about it here, but when you see the way he uses this weird plot of giving people cards, it makes a lot of sense. I got really fascinated with that idea from this lecture.
I
Some other highlights. I'll talk forever.
I want to interrupt you real quick because we have a comment in YouTube from Magical Lab, which is a really good comment. It says at the beginning of the show they said the discount brought it down to $11, but the screen says 22. Was that an error? It is not. So at the beginning, the massive magical savings when you order it today before midnight and you use the promo code CoolBoxLive at checkout, because Jason Dean Live is in the CoolBox right now. It's 15. It will bring it down to $11. The CoolBox Live promo code is still good for the Jason Dean Live lecture for the rest of the week. It's just that it will bring it down to $22.46 any other day but today. So any other day. If you're not sure tonight, maybe you want to think about it a little bit, or maybe later in the week you're like, oh, I do want to do that open prediction trick. Then it will be $22.46 if you use the promo code. But tonight, until midnight, if you use the promo code CoolBox Live at checkout, you'll get it for $11.
There's some coin magic in here.
The coin magic's really good. I remember he put out a DVD, Cutting Edge Cards and Coins, with Jason Dean and John Bourne, and that DVD set had some of my favorite magic, and primarily Jason stuff, which just blew me away. It was so good.
Yep. Coin stuff. Some Roy Walton routines. I just bring him up because we talked about him earlier. Everything's good.
Yep.
Like there's not a dud in here. Every trick on this lecture is amazing, and to get this for only $11, I mean, I promise you, if you're a card worker, you're getting something from this lecture. It's not possible to not.
There's 3 great lectures tonight. Let's move on to the next one. This one is all very, very near and dear to my heart for obvious reasons. We're talking about Leonard Green live. I was really glad to see, some Swedish dude. I'm a big fan of this one. So Leonard Green shares so many things with us on this. So the lecture starts off kind of interesting, where he talks about some puzzles. Actually, one of the things he talks about is this puzzle right here, where you the idea is to get this out without tipping it over, and Leonard shows you how to get it out. This is actually the puzzle from that lecture that Nick gave me for Christmas one year, because he knows how much I love Leonard Green. But then he goes into some really interesting different things that you can do with like 3 decks of cards, where as you pick them up, it gets progressively heavier. That's really neat. And then there's a thing he does.
I forgot about that one. That one's crazy.
Yeah, and Dan actually gets Dave McCreary to come up and do it, because Dan knew that Dave was the only way that we could convey how this works. So what it is there's 3 blocks. When you see these 3 gray blocks between us, when you pick up all 3, it's got some weight to it, but then when you pick up 2, it's inexplicably heavier than the 3. And then when you just pick up the top one, for some strange reason, it's heavier than all 3 combined. It's a wild thing. Leonard teaches you how to do it with just regular decks of cards too, which is neat.
Yeah, there's actually just a little sidetrack. There is a gimmick for that you can get. Mayor Yedid put it out. I believe it's called Heavy Handed.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has anything to do with Leonard or not, but it is a fascinating thing. If when you get the Leonard Green lecture and you watch that effect and you want to do it, check out Heavy Handed by Mayor Yedid.
Alan Morgan actually bringing me the next thing I was going to talk about. Alan Morgan in the YouTube chat saying, Leonard teaches a fun and useful method to separate red and black cards. The best part of the lecture for me. Also, a great part of the lecture for me, it's he teaches both the angle separation and the drop separation, and I think he teaches the V separation on this as well, all 3 of which I use in my regular work all the time. He teaches a lot of his separation work. He also teaches the snap deal on here, which is really interesting. He actually teaches the snap deal while I'm at the table. A very, very young Eric Tate is in this lecture.
Beardless Eric Tate, I'm assuming?
I have a beard, but it's a very close cropped beard. And I don't have the red glasses yet. It's
eyeshadow Eric Tate?
It's eyeshadow Eric Tate is back when this was. It's an incredible lecture. He teaches some stuff with Magic Square that's really interesting, and then he teaches a lot of his false shuffle work, which is really, really good. The false shuffle work here on here is wild. And then it closes off with an interview between Leonard and Dan, which is really interesting because Leonard is a very private man. He's very shy. There's not a lot of information on him, and so it's one of the few times that you actually get insights into Leonard's life. It's a phenomenal lecture. If you are interested in learning the card work, it's so good. All of the fun ace stuff that he does with vanishing them and making them reappear throughout the deck, like grabbing them suddenly out of the deck, making a shoe appear out of the deck. I'm not saying you could do his entire FISM routine just like watching this lecture, but awful close. He teaches you all of the building blocks for the FISM routine in this. It's a marvelous lecture. It's like almost 3 hours long. It's so good. It's so good.
And to be able to get any Penguin Live lectures at a discounted rate,
Yep.
so valuable. And this is this is one of the iconic ones that's up there. One of the big names. We're lucky that we had him, because I'm not sure that it's going to be possible to get him again.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
This was before he had some health issues a little bit later on. So this is a very, very, like, it's really, really good. He's really on the ball. He's talking about a lot of things and sharing a lot of secrets, and it's so good.
Maybe we need to start talking about this, Eric, and because I don't know what the status is on it, but you may have noticed, if you've been poking around Penguin, there's been some changes to the video players, thankfully.
Yep.
We are trending in the right direction. And I also know, and we've been doing it for months, all of the Penguin Live lectures have been re-rendered into 1080. Right now, when you watch something on the site, it's probably rendered down to like 360 or 640 or something. But if it isn't already, it is coming soon, where all the Penguin Live lectures, whether or not you bought them already, if you have them already, they're just going to get converted into the higher quality one.
Yeah.
But they are like coming out. We're going to start rolling those out pretty soon, where you'll be able to get all of the Penguin Live lectures in high quality.
Yeah, I wanted to double check here. I'm sorry if I had some music hit you guys in the chat there. I didn't mean for that to come through. It doesn't look like this one has been re-rendered yet, because I think it was a little bit later.
I don't know if they're live yet, because I think we'll probably make an announcement or something. But I only brought it up because I remember I saw that Leonard got re-rendered in 1080.
It's
so
I definitely watched the one in 1080, so I know it has been re-rendered, but I just don't think it's live on the site yet. But it is very good, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, it is coming, and that's going to be really exciting when it does. Because
especially with some of this stuff, because we get some pretty tight angles on it, so you see a lot of the hand motion. I'm a big proponent of watching what Leonard does in addition to saying what he does, like watching very closely, and so you see a lot of the unusual grips and palms that he uses very, very well. I think you must have been on camera that night, because it looks great.
I think it was.
John Bauman is asking, what is the discount code for Leonard Green Live download? It's the same as all of the other discount codes tonight. It's if you enter the promo code CoolboxLive at checkout, you're going to get 25% off of this one. It's all one word, all lowercase, CoolboxLive.
Everything in the show, 25% off at minimum.
Yeah, and Mark DiTullio in the Facebook chat commenting that the Leonard Green lecture is 4.5 hours long, which is true. He shares everything.
Yeah, no, he really did. He just came. He came from, where is he from? Sweden?
It's from Sweden. Yeah.
Yeah, he came out and just said, "I'm only coming over here once," and just gave us everything.
Yeah.
So
it's really good, and there's some stuff in it that are variations on stuff that in other projects that you don't see before. For example, some of the stuff he does where he's putting aces into the deck using Snapdeal, and where they come back out as the last cards. I don't believe that is taught on the original Leonard Green DVD series. I know, because I know those DVDs inside and out, and that version is not taught on there. So you learn that in this lecture. It's really, really good. But let's move on.
Sure. You
could talk about Jason Dean all night. I could talk about Leonard Green all night. Let's move on to someone we could both talk about all night, and that is
Darren Brown. We have the two. I was, when we were putting this together, I'm like, we need to create the color team.
Yeah.
You have Leonard Green.
Yeah.
Darren Brown. There's probably somebody with the last name Black, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, Darren Brown live, crazy. It was so
phenomenal.
wild. I know. When we got the word that we were going to head to London and film Darren Brown, it was obviously very exciting.
Yeah.
We filmed this in part of a big trip with Darren. We also filmed, who do we film? Andy Nineman, Alan, filmed a couple other lectures when we were out there. I'd have to really think about it. Anyway, I think you all know who Darren Brown is.
Yeah.
If you don't, right after this, you just need to go watch anything by Darren Brown, because he's arguably the best mentalist / performer that we have in our art. He's enormously talented, and to be able to watch him talk about anything with the magic community, it's going to be valuable. What this is a sit-down interview with him and Dan Harlan, where they really talk about I mean, they kind of cover. Look, it's hard when you're talking to a guy like Darren, right? Mostly because there's so much you want to get to, but you really kind of have to start at the basics. When we get him back, and I do think we will have him back at some point, I think we can maybe dive into more of a specialized thing. But here, you're going to learn like kind of how he got started, you know, how he approaches putting together a show, what it's like to perform in these grand theaters, what it's like to put together these crazy television shows. And you're really just going to get to know him on a different level. I can't remember if it's in there. I should have.
I just watched it, so go ahead and say.
Is the trick still taught in there?
I don't know the answer to that. I believe right before we were going live is when when I had to stop watching it and start doing this, because there's some insight in this behind the television shows that I had never really considered before. It's I'm going to go back and watch some of that stuff when we get off here tonight, because it's really interesting.
There's a trick where he sticks the spectator's hand to the table. It's a way, like, so he hypnotizes Dan Harlan and has Dan's hand stick to the table. Now, if you've ever seen his I forget which special it's either in Svengali or one of the others. This is the first phase of when he sticks the needle through the spectator's hand.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember that routine?
Yeah.
So the first part of it, he has the spectator get stuck to the table. And that method was taught in one of his books, and he had taught it on this lecture, but I can't remember if it got cut or not, because some sort of television contractual thing.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. Anyway, it doesn't matter if the trick's in there or not. The lecture is still amazing because of look, if you're trying to learn about like I want to get famous, I want to be a star, I want to learn how to put together how the most professional guys put together a show. This has to be in your magic library.
He talks a lot in this about working with the director and working with the team. And I know you and I are both no strangers to working with a team. We made that jump a long time ago. And a lot of the people that you and I know who are the best in the business work with a team. And Darren talks a lot about how to do this in that. And when I first started working with directors and writers and consultants for my own personal stuff, I didn't even know the first thing about it. And this is a great lecture to, like, if you want to start leveling up your game and like moving on to doing like bigger and better stuff, this is the one to get. Because I don't think,
that's a good point.
Even like the Chris Angel lecture touches on that a little bit, but not quite as in depth as Darren's does. Because he talks a lot about his working relationship with Andy Nyman and the rest of the team, and you know how they all work together. It's a real deep insight into the world of Darren Brown, and when you get to that level, what you have to do also to get to that level.
Yeah, and it's going to be really foreign to you, right?
Yeah.
You might actually be surprised, but I think you might hear the words like consultants and directors and writers a lot, you know, but you might not actually know what that means. This is going to give you a good idea of what that actually means.
Yeah,
and if you did enjoy the Chris Angel lecture, you're certainly going to enjoy this lecture.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is we could probably talk about Darren all night, but I think we need to move on, Nick, because we forgot to use the timer a lot tonight, so we talked ourselves into a hole in the ground.
I thought we were done with the timer. I don't think who knows?
I think we've abandoned the timer, but let's move on to the deals of the week. These are very exciting because there's a lot of really, really good stuff in here. These are more than downloads. When we talk about the deals of the week, we start talking about some physical stuff. And actually tonight is really interesting because we have the Invisible Deck, which is...
Why not?
I think it's because we talked about Pocket Nightmare for so long that actually still got Darren on there. We talked about Pocket Nightmare so much that we always talk about Pocket Nightmare as the thing that we've replaced the Invisible Deck with. But man, the Invisible Deck is still super strong. And if you enter the promo code CoolBoxLive, you're going to get one for just about $5.
Yeah,
an Invisible Deck for just about $5. That's like crazy.
We saw it available in our list for stuff to put up there, so we're just like, screw it. Let's give everybody a chance to buy a $5 Invisible Deck.
Yeah.
So if you need one, grab it. You know, because it's going to be super cheap, $5. Do we know the visible deck? The invisible deck, basically.
Yeah. If you don't know what it is, you hand a deck of cards to someone and you say, name any card. And then you spread through that deck and it's the only one facing the other direction. There's a bunch of different routines that you can learn for this. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it. The deck does all the work for you. It's surefire. It works every time. It might be one of the strongest single card tricks that you can do with a gimmick deck. I mean, like, there's a reason you would devote an entire trick deck to this.
And it's going to come with it's the Murphy's version.
Yeah.
So it's going to come with some written instructions.
It does
it does come with video instructions. It comes with Daryl, I believe. Daryl teaches it.
And I think Rick Lax does too. Rick Lax teaches.
Oh
some
yeah.
stuff in there.
You know, you're right.
Yeah.
So you're going to get videos on Penguin, and you're going to on the print instructions. It's going to link you to a video, I believe. Don't quote me on it. Where you'll learn from Daryl as well. So.
Yeah, there's just a lot of really good stuff. You know, everyone should check it out. It's super good.
If you need one, grab it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's move on to another thing we've talked about a lot, which is the Raven. You know, the Raven, and the really great thing about it coming up in the Cool Box is, you know, not only do you get the best vanishing device in history, you also get it a little bit cheaper. It's normally $40. You enter the promo code CoolBox Live, you get it for $30. If you only have one Raven, I highly recommend picking up a second one, because having two Ravens, one on each side of your body, you can do some really wild stuff.
I haven't actually explored that yet. I keep meaning to.
Yeah.
But I like having multiple just so I can keep. I mean, it is not hard to move it to another jacket.
Yeah.
I just forget.
Yeah.
Right. So in all of my suits, in my right sleeve, I just have a Raven chilling with like a big magnetic coin stuck to the other side of it. So what is the Raven? It is a cool. It is essentially a pull, like a magnetic pull that you can hide in your clothing. You can have it in like a hooded sweatshirt or even like a button-up shirt. It doesn't have to be in like a suit jacket. And it gives you the ability to vanish, produce, transform any object that you can make magnetic.
Yep.
Now, it's pretty easy to make a lot of different things magnetic, so you can even do it with things that aren't magnetic. But that's what you're going to get here. Along with the device, you're also going to get the instructional video, which I go into great detail on how this whole thing works, and some kind of like underground moves with the Raven that kind of just slipped through the cracks over the last 20 years or whatever it's been. But look, this came out last December, and it was so fun to work on, and just to get the feedback from everybody on how much they were like, man, I forgot. This is amazing. And just a lot of praise and thanks. Like, thank you for putting it back out with some solid instruction. Because back in the day when you bought this, it just came with
written instructions. Yeah.
Which were fine. But, you know, this is something that needs to be taught on video.
I think that, and I want to give you some props here because I think this is really important. Nick was sort of, you know, like the spearhead on this project, and he did a really good job of describing how to install the Raven in a wide variety of clothing. Because I remember when the Raven first came out and I bought one, the biggest problem I had was that I was like, okay, I can put it in a suit jacket and that's it. And I was like 15. I didn't own a suit jacket, and Nick goes into doing it with a bunch of different clothing, which I know is a huge stumbling block for a lot of people with the Raven. And
yeah, me too. I think I stopped there. Once I didn't know how to get the length of it right. I think I remember was my problem, or tie the loop. Tying the loop was really hard.
Yeah,
it's actually all easy. It's just because you had to make it up in your own head. I'll show you on the video. I explain all of it and make it all super easy for you. And it's just one of those things that you can just have on you all the time and mess with it. It's kind of like walking around with a palmed coin in your hand.
Yeah.
The Raven's kind of the same thing, where you can just kind of bring it in and out and practice all the time when you're just sitting around doing nothing. If you're out on a trip or whatever, you have it in your jacket. It's great.
It's super good.
For $30, man, grab it.
Check it out. Let's move on to the next thing, which is Into the Abyss by Oz Pearlman. We talked about this one before, but these are 3 hard-hitting mentalism routines, one of which, the Imaginary Vacation, Oz did on AGT, and it helped him get almost a win. I mean, it's super strong. My favorite thing on this is Hear My Words, which is you get someone to, you know, think of a name and say it out loud, and then you bring out a tape recorder, and you show them that the tape recorder you recorded earlier that day, that you are going to be that you knew that they would name a name, and you play the recording from them. It's you saying today is such and such, and I'm having a premonition that someone is going to say, and then you say the name in the tape recording. It's really, really good. And then there's a third effect on here, Nick, that it's another name divination, but on a piece of paper. That's really, really good. It's very, very strong.
Look, the material on here is powerful, really, really good. This is very similar to, I was trying to say the Colin McLeod lecture.
Yeah.
When you watch that, it's all of Colin's like early thinking, and now because Colin's performing life has been so public, if you've ever seen his original lecture, you can see the way that he's evolved all of this stuff that he was doing way back in the day. This is the same with this DVD for Oz.
Yeah.
The things that are on here are kind of like his core mentalism routines that he's gone on to use for great success, right? That routine that he did on AGT is super powerful.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can get it nice and cheap here to learn how he went about learning it is gold.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say, so normally it's $35, but if you enter the promo code CoolBoxLive at checkout, you're going to get it for $26. The other thing that's important to note is that you can't get this as a download. This comes as a DVD. So this isn't something that you're going to
write that. I'm going to write that down now, Eric.
Yeah.
Though let's because we should make that. We should get that on download, right?
Yeah, we should totally get this on download. But right now, as I say it, you can't get it as a download, and so it's
right.
It's going to be a little bit tougher to get for a little while until Nick and I can take care of that. But Into the Abyss is super.
We're gonna have to get it down. Do you even have a DVD ripper?
Yeah. I wait a minute. Is a DVD is that thing that you put into the cup holder on your computer, right? Is that?
Speaking of which, and this is sidetracked.
Yeah.
Have you seen this month's issue of Penguin Magic Monthly?
Is this the one with Jeremiah Zuo on the cover?
It is. I'm holding it up now.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah.
And there is a.
Is there a? This is the one with the DVD trick, right?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. This comes. So first of all, I should say Penguin Magic Monthly magazine. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You can subscribe to it, but if you order over $50 worth of anything on the site, you get one of these for free. This month, Jeremiah Zuo, who was nominated for Lecture of the Year, is on the cover, and there's I think that thing by Eric Casey finally came out, which is great.
Yep.
His little thing about how to make a trick. What it takes to create a trick by Eric Casey.
It's a wonderful article. It's a series of articles because there's another issue coming out with another with the follow up to that. It's really good.
This is just interesting. The vanishing
cushion.
whoopee cushion. I don't know. Anyway, every issue comes with a physical trick that you can do. It comes with like a gimmick, and this month is a sticker that you can put over a CD for the Baby Shark Party. Luckily, I don't have to listen to this song very often, but I don't even know. What is the effect? I just saw the sticker and I was blown away.
It's a mentalism effect by Josh Birch that's super good. You're able to successfully predict he's got a way of forcing a DVD so that it's a prediction trick. It's really good.
My favorite line, Eric, is the first one where it says, David Berglis performed a version of this in 1950. Just so everybody knows, Berglis invented the Baby Shark Party effect.
Oh, man. I know that Josh is moderating our chat right now, but all you need to know about that trick is that Josh figured out how to do a crisscross force with a stack of CDs, which is like
cool,
mind-blowing. It's really good.
Anyway, where were we?
Ling Lee over here in the Facebook chat asking, will the download version, if made available, have the Cool Box discount too? It will if we get it out this week, but I don't.
It's not going to come out this week.
Yeah, it's not going to come out this week, so it'll have the discount the next time it comes up in the Cool Box Live. But Into the Abyss is very, very good. Nick, I think we need to move on to something that, man, I'm glad this came up because I low key like this trick. This is Matchbox Mystery.
Low key like it. No, come on. Now this is.
This is super good. This is a classic. You got a box of matches, and then what you do is you take a match and you put it through a hole in it. You can show everyone it's actually going through both sides, and then you push after depending on how you want to do this. What I do is I like to drop the matchbox, and it makes a loud clang as it hits the table, because then you slide out the drawer and inside is a block of brass, a solid block of brass that fills up the whole matchbox. It's a real fooler. It's an amazing
it's a
trick.
Heavy fooler.
Yeah, it's
This
super
is
good.
a great secret. If you don't know how this works, I can't wait for you to buy this, because you're going to be blown away on how this works. It's like it's just a really feat of engineering. It's amazing. And it's a great trick to show people. And you don't have to be a magician. You know, like, this is a great thing for anybody to do, because you can it's a puzzle, really. Yeah. If you think about it, yes, you can present it as a magic trick, but really what this is about is, look, I'm sticking the match through this hole. What I'm showing you right now is impossible. Pull the match out, and here's why it's impossible. And you dump out the brass block. And you know, there's so many tricks that we say everything can be examined, you know, but really you don't have to have them examined. Yeah. This, you want them to examine, you know, because they're just like, pick up the brass, they put it in try to stick the match through. They can't do it because they can examine it. There's nothing to see. So you're going to get an awesome gimmick that allows this. You're going to get this brass block that allows the whole thing to happen. It'll work with any matchbox. The matchbox isn't special. It's the brass block. And to be able to get this a little cheaper, because what's the price on this?
It's normally $40, but if you enter the promo code CoolBox Live, you get it for $22. So more than 25% off. It's a big discount. Super
that's
super
a huge
good
discount for this. That's if you're any interest in this, now's the time to grab it. Good trick. The gimmick is quality. I played with this this is one of the first tricks that I promoted when I was came to Penguin, and I was just so happy to I used one way back in the day, and I was so happy to be playing with it again.
Nick,
great effect.
Can you grab the magazine real quick, because I want to jump back real quick. As cool as the Matchbox Mystery is, I want to talk about something about the magazine real quick. So the magazine that we publish, Penguin Magic Monthly, there's a really, really cool thing about it. So Josh, who moderates the chat, comes up with a lot of content for it. He's also the editor for it. A big thanks to Josh for doing all of the hard work on putting the magazine together every month. But more importantly, Josh reviews submissions for that. I know a lot of people come up to me and they say, Eric, how do I get published in Magic? I got a trick, and maybe it's not right for a download, but you still want it to get out there. Penguin Magic Monthly is a great way to get it published. Yeah. So I think it's Josh at penguinmagic.com. Josh, why don't you drop the email in there for the submissions? But if you want to submit an essay, a trick, a top 10 list,
I
there's
got
a whole bunch of things.
This is a submission, because I know Travis asked you, fantastic sleight of hand magician. He's got a trick here called Blur.
Blur is super good. Yeah.
Yeah, but it must be a submission, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is a submission, and then we review them. And actually, myself and Brandon Wolf, our art director, we actually get together on a lot of the photos. And if you submit a trick, and we get it in there, my hands will be the ones that are reproducing your trick in there.
And this magazine is all tricks too. Yeah, it's not there's there's a couple ads on the inside covers and things, but really, I mean, if you look at the table of contents there, the thing is just loaded with content. It's not, I just remember subscribing to magazines and half of it you're just thumbing through because it's just all, it's all ads for tricks. But this is all tricks.
Nick,
all suggestions and books and stuff.
Do you know the first place that I was ever published as a magician?
Was in here?
It was Penguin Magic Monthly. It was the Sylvester the Jester episode. I included a trick. I submitted a card trick, and it got published in Penguin Magic Monthly. That was the very first place I was ever published.
That's one of those things that I still have on my list, Eric, where it's there's no reason why I shouldn't be submitting something to that every month.
No, it's super good.
I think that would be a good goal for anybody out there, to make yourself write down something and just submit it once a month, once every other month, something like that, because
there's so many. I'm just watching the chat here, and I'm looking, and there's so many people in the chat who I know are phenomenal magicians, and I'm just you guys need to submit stuff to the magazine. We'd love to have it in there.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, let's move on to the next thing tonight. This is actually the last thing that we're talking about tonight, and also the thing that kicked off the show. This is On the Spot with Gregory Wilson, which I think is arguably one of the best, one of the most powerhouse releases in all of Close-Up Magic. It's so good. It's all of his impromptu stuff.
This is maybe the most influential video for me, because when I first got into learning magic, what I was interested in was learning how to present it for people, everyday people in everyday places, right? and there's nobody better at it than Greg, because he's just a monster at close-up magic, but also social interaction and like handling spectators in scenarios that I could relate to, right? Because when I first got started, I wasn't performing in theaters and things. I was performing at
Bars
Betty B's
and restaurants
and Dick's Den
Yeah.
and, you know, whatever bar I was in. So that's why I fell in love with this project. And then the tricks are unbelievable. There's tricks on here that, so first of all this stuff is impromptu, as in you just do it with coins or napkins or whatever.
The pen trick recapped is on here. I still do recapped at my gigs because it's such a strong, powerful effect. So good.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great trick. You're going to learn pickpocketing stuff. That's not the stuff that like is the real focus on here, but it is. That's the first time I ever got familiar with like what a watch steal was.
Yeah.
In fact, what we saw at the beginning of tonight's show was like Greg's playful pickpocketing routines, which I did play around with, like with replacing the sunglasses on their head and all that. All great. But let's talk about some of these tricks. The 3/4 across with the quarters, which is like a coins across from hand to hand.
Yeah.
Impromptu with like no gimmicks. Fantastic. You're going to learn amazing sleights too, like the Goshman's pinch and
head trip is on here. That's his handling of paper balls over the head, but he does it with just anything. It's so good.
Another great trick, the Florida Keys, which is a
it's a linking ring. It's a mini linking rings.
Yeah, unbelievable. Like that. I remember that handling was kind of like a marathon of like moves and things. I worked on that forever, and it's
good.
such a cool. I never see anybody do that trick.
Yeah,
and it's so strong, so strong. You're gonna learn stuff like the 99-cent trick. There's the Garrett Thomas's ring thing is on here, like Greg's routine that he uses with it. He has like a whole ring set that he does on here. Toll-free sponge napkins. Oh yeah, his sponge ball routine with napkins is just perfect.
Yeah.
It's everything is so good, and just being able to see him perform in real life scenario is amazing. I remember when he came here to when I got to film Greg for the very first time, I was like, not first of all like just kind of like starstruck, but also I couldn't wait to see. I studied this DVD so much that I wanted to know what happened like in between the scenarios with the spectators. So I was just so excited just to see how Greg works, and you'll learn so much if you're inexperienced and you want to get into like performing for strangers and things. Greg's stuff is so good. I mean, it's just one of the best.
Can't say enough good things about On the Spot. It's definitely the material, and it served me well for years. It served you well for years, and anyone who buys this it's just a masterclass. And this is like, it's an older release, but it's like from back in the day when like DVDs came packed with powerhouse material, and like there's not a dud in the bunch.
No,
so good.
Every trick I've done, every trick on here.
Yeah,
every one of them. So fantastic.
Nick, it's the end of the show, and I know we do this every week, but what are you gonna buy?
And every week I forget.
For me, it's King of Warped.
Yeah, that's a good call.
It's a super power. Oh god, it's
well,
so
look,
good.
if you don't have a Matchbox Mystery, to get one for $20 is a steal. So I would consider that. Same with the Invisible Deck. If you need one, now's a good time to get one.
I would also say X Cards by Lee Earl. That's another one because it's like it's that close-up mentalism that you want to do, but you're just like, what do I do?
It's like a lot of good impromptu stuff this week because like Starkle's in here and On the Spot's in here. A lot of this stuff is like stuff if you are just getting started would be so perfect for you. So maybe Starkle I could see being the thing that I would buy if I was you out there. Might as well just show you guys while I had, because I did buy a Gregory Wilson trick over the last week.
Ooh, what'd you buy?
I bought one of these.
Oh, split focus is awesome.
So you can get this on Penguin right now.
Yeah.
This gimmick's amazing, Eric. Like, you haven't held one, right?
No, I haven't. Are you about to do some impromptu magic?
I'm not going to do it because I haven't practiced enough.
Yeah.
But I've wanted one of these like super triple coins for a long time.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, like I've seen a few that have come out, and I'm always like, it's really nice, but I would like to spend my money on something really good.
Yeah.
And Greg totally did it.
Yeah.
You're going to get the gimmick. And if you don't know what this is, basically it allows you to like produce multiple coins, up to 3 actually. So you can produce 3 coins.
Yeah.
And it's all going to collapse down into 1.
Yeah.
Right. So it is a fantastic quality gimmick. These are real Eisenhower dollars that I have here, and you can also get it in Morgan's as well. It is available on Penguin Magic. You're also going to get a money clip that's magnetic with it and a little extra thing. And of course, the tutorial is amazing because it's Gregory Wilson. I thought I'd just throw that in there in case anybody had any questions.
No, absolutely.
Because it is available on Penguin Magic.
Well, that's going to do it for us for this week. The one thing that we should say is next week's show is going to be great, but is it 2 weeks from now that we have the big one?
Right, we have to work on that. I'll confirm that now.
Yeah.
Let me bring this up.
Yeah, let's.
I'm gonna have to do some work on this week.
Let me see.
Coolbox Live content. I mean, next week is good too. We should make this like a part of the show, Eric, where we kind of like tease what's coming up, because next week, we do have some things that are very like. In total, you're saving hundreds and hundreds of dollars next week. But the week after that, is it the week after that? Yes, the week after that. So it would be the show on January 24th.
Yeah, so actually I just got a really good question here in the chat. They were asking if I could throw the stuff up there. I just changed the schedule so you guys can actually see everything that we talked about tonight. It's over here on the right-hand side of the page. First, we started talking about Jason Dean Live. Then we talked about the End of the World project, which is free, so go get it. Then we went on to the download discounts. We started off with Delirium, which is a phenomenal transposition effect. Cannibal Kings by Lynn Searles, but presented by Michael Lamar. A really, really amazing trick. That's not a pick-a-card trick. Then King of Warp by Martin Cox. It's the card warp that why am I suddenly blanking on his name?
Roy Walton.
Roy Walton. It's the card warp that Roy Walton said was the best one. Lightspeed by Rick Lax, which is a phenomenal display of skill, but it's not really skill. You're gonna love it. See Through Psychometry presented by Alexander Marsh, a really fun take on psychometry and some of the best blindfold work that you can do. Preconceived by Gregory Wilson is a sympathetic coffee sleeve trick. Money Comes and Goes by Rick Lax. If you ever wanted to do bank night without the envelopes, this is the way to do it. Starkle by Dan Harlan. Bring your audience to tears using only a napkin and geometry. X Cards by Lee Earl. The perfect close-up mentalism trick created by Lee Earl and taught by Alexander Marsh. Clear Choice by Thinking Paradox. Quite simply, the best way to force a slip of paper inside of a wine glass. Then we moved on to the low price lectures. We talked about Jason Dean and his phenomenal card magic, his just really wild out of the box thinking. Then Leonard Green, whose wild out of the box thinking led to some wild out of the box slides, all of which you can learn. And we finished it up with Darren Brown Live. If you want to level up, Darren Brown Live is the way to do it. The Cool Box deals of the week included a $5 invisible deck. If you need a new invisible deck, now's the time to get it. The Raven, the best vanishing device in history, now $10 off, so you can get a Raven for $30. Into the Abyss by Oz Pearlman. This is his real working mentalism stuff. He almost won AGT with this material. Why aren't you doing it? Matchbox Mystery is a solid block of brass that you can do a miracle with. And On the Spot by Gregory Wilson is some of the best impromptu magic ever. Nick, that's going to do it for this week. Let's talk a little bit about the big show coming up.
So we're going to try to get a special guest because we're looking at this list and we're like, wow, we need to get so-and-so.
Yeah.
Right? We're not going to tell you who it is yet, but it would be, we've had some great guests on this show, and he would be among the best guests you could ever have.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we can get him. I can't imagine that we won't be able to.
Yeah. We won't tell you who it is, but we can tell you that something of his was featured tonight. And that's
true.
That's all we'll leave it at.
Yeah. So I have no doubt that we'll be able to get in touch with him.
Yeah.
And then there are, and I'll give you the price tags on some of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
yeah.
There's a $300 item on that show. There's a $150 item show. There's an $80 item on that show. There is two of those are books, which are pretty amazing. Then you have like a variety of we do a lot of downloads when we do the Cool Box Live. This is going to be a lot of physical product, and you're going to be able to save a ton of money.
Hundreds and hundreds of dollars in this.
It's probably even more than that because these are the prices that I'm looking at right now might not even be the prices that are actually on the site. They would be more expensive, so it might even be crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to also add up the savings because I think that's pretty fascinating.
It's going to be an insane show.
We'll talk about that after this show.
Yeah,
Eric.
it's about 2 weeks from now is when this big show is. We're flipping the script, moving from downloads to
24th,
physicals.
the 24th.
The January 24th
Whether or not we
show.
have the special guest or not, it's still going to be.
It's going to be an amazing show.
Yeah.
Some stuff that like we're eyeing this and going, we're going to snap it up. It's going to be good.
And there's stuff from the award show is in this show as well.
Yeah. Well, that is going to do it for this week. Thanks for tuning in to the Cool Box Live. Nick and I will be back next Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern to save you guys some money and talk about magic. As always, be sure to like and subscribe so that you can get notified when we go live so you can get the greatest deals possible. On behalf of Nick Locapo, I'm Eric Tate, and for everyone else at the P3 Studios, we'll see you next time.